everybody, this is BJ, and welcome to my Nitpick series, where I go over each of the characters who currently exist in Super Smash Bros. And share some personal ideas that I have about what I would do to change or improve their current moveset. Before we get started with the 3 smashers of today's episode, I would first like to share a couple of ideas that you guys shared with me about last episode's characters. I'm only gonna share the viewer ideas that I really liked though. I'm not going to talk about anything below that. So if you don't hear me bring up an idea, even the ones that tons of people had in common, then sorry, but I didn't like it enough to want to talk about it here. So, starting off with the idea shared about Link, there were only 2 that I found myself adoring. The first one being a common thought that a lot of you guys had, but the first to suggest it was a user called Quaden. They and many others suggested that on top of Link's spherical remote bombs, that he should be able to use his cube remote bombs as well. This could allow many more setup options for Link, using either the far-traveling spheres or the prone-to-staying still cubes. There can even be a tap and hold situation for this. Tap the button for one, hold it down for the other. The other idea shared with me for Link was only given by one user, Quifey K. They suggested that Link should have a taunt or something that involves him taking a selfie on the Sheikah slate. I love this idea, not only for the fun poses that Link uses for it, but for how it's also another way to bring out Link's dorkier side, something that I wish they emphasized a bit more for his moveset. Now for Samus, she also only had 2 ideas that I found myself really liking. The first coming from a couple of people, but the first to share it was TMR NES. Saying that as an add-on to my suggestion of Samus being able to crawl by rolling around as the Morph Ball, that if you use her down special power bombs while crawling, she'll just leave them in the spot that she was when she used the special, having them not bounce on the ground and instead just lays them in a still spot, closer to how she lays them in her home games. Being able to do this while crawling would not only keep her momentum up, but it could also be used as a sneaky trap to catch foes off guard. The other idea for Samus shared with me was done so by Elijah Anderson. This is an idea that I do really like, but it is also one that I can understand as to why it wasn't used in Smash in the first place. They suggest that Samus could have a victory animation that involves her taking her helmet off and posing with it at her side, referencing the usual endings to Metroid when Samus removes her helmet or even her power suit, depending on how well you performed in the game. It makes total sense as a victory animation, but due to the fact that Zero Suit Samus is already a fighter, I understand why it probably wasn't used, but the idea is still very solid. Alrighty, with the viewer ideas for last episode's characters out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my ideas for this episode's characters. Starting off with fighter number 5, the lovable reptile of happiness and gluttony, Yoshi! Yoshi, for the most part, has a simple concept and a simple moveset, which perfectly emulates his generally simple design from the games where you play as him. He eats, he lays, he throws, and that's pretty much the gist. He has his iconic flutter jump, acting as a unique movement gimmick for him in Smash to allow for all kinds of floaty combat tactics. He has his 3 main offensive abilities that are present in pretty much all of the Yoshi games: eating things with his long tongue, throwing eggs as projectile weapons, and being able to ground pound. He does also have his egg roll attack, of course, which might have originated from Yoshi's story, or it's just original to Melee, I'm not quite sure. But it became a staple for Yoshi as well in plenty of games even after Melee, so it is still fitting for him in that regard. Outside of a few other game-specific gimmick abilities that he gets here and there, Yoshi doesn't really do much of anything else. Again, he's simple. But that said, there is one little thing that I wish could be implemented for Yoshi. Something that would not only make this attack closer to Yoshi's origin games, but to also help better emphasize Yoshi's gluttonous yet defensive nature as both a guardian and a caregiver. I wish that his neutral special, the Egg Lay, was able to do a bit more than just catch foes and trap them in eggs. I wish that it was given the same privilege that Kirby and DDD got, and have it so that it could also be used to catch and eat items or projectiles. A type of defense option against long-range users, something that, despite having the egg toss, Yoshi does kind of struggle against. And to add to that, it could also be used as a type of reflect, giving you the option to either spit the items out to shoot them back, or you could swallow them and let Yoshi lay the eggs like he would normally. But eggs laying from eating items or projectiles could behave differently. Just like in most of Yoshi's games, the eggs could follow Yoshi around, and if you use up special while you have extra eggs, they could be used to make the attack a bit more spammable. At its default, the up special as it is now might need to be slowed down in order to compensate if that idea were used, but I still love the notion of being rewarded with more ammo if you can properly eat your opponent's ammo. And as one more little extra detail to add on to this, if you were to spit out a fire-based item instead of swallowing it, it could come out as 3 fireballs, just like from Super Mario World. And yeah, that's really the only new thing that I wish Yoshi could do. Let him use his big appetite as his main weapon just like he does in his own games. He has egg lay in his grab, sure, but I just wish that he had a bit more. But speaking of big appetite, it's time to move on to the real star. The pink demon of Dreamland, the one and only Kirby! This is an interesting one, because I know that for a lot of you, Kirby was one of the main reasons why you guys wanted me to start this series in the first place, among a few other reasons. Plenty of people have said that Kirby's Smash moveset doesn't do him justice, that it's nothing like it is from his games, and that you wish more of his copy ability powers were implemented. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I disagree. I think for the most part, Kirby is perfectly fine as is. And why do I say this? Because the person who made Kirby's movesets also made Kirby. This is literally Sakurai's baby, his OC, his star child. Literally anything that Sakurai says Kirby would do is just the right answer. This isn't a case where Sakurai takes somebody else's character and builds their moveset based on his own interpretation. Literally nobody on this planet knows Kirby better than Sakurai does. So if you think that Kirby would do one thing, but then Sakurai says that no he wouldn't, guess who's right? Spoiler warning, it certainly isn't you. Besides, even ignoring the fact that Sakurai knows what's best for his own OC, Kirby's moveset really is perfectly fine. His basic attacks represent plenty of his combat-focused abilities such as Fighter, his throws come from Backdrop and Ninja, and his specials, Inhale aside, come from 3 of the most iconic abilities that Kirby's ever had. Hammer, Cutter, and Stone. 3 of the first abilities that Kirby's ever had access to back when the copy abilities were first introduced. And for those who think Kirby's moveset is just bland as is, that's kinda supposed to be the point. Kirby by himself with no abilities is a very minimalistic, simple character. That's his whole theme. It's his copy ability gimmick that adds the variety to Kirby's arsenal. Sure, he's only able to use the neutral special, but this is just to keep Kirby simple, as he should be. He's designed to be a beginner-friendly character, one that small kids can pick up and figure out with no issues, so trying to add more than what he already has completely goes against his entire design philosophy. That having been said, there is one tiny thing that I do wonder why Sakurai didn't give it to Kirby. An attack that Kirby's had in almost every game and debuted at the same time as his iconic copy abilities. His Slide Kick. A move to let Kirby take advantage of his squishy body and duck under higher attacks while also closing the distance on foes. Something that Kirby generally needs to be doing anyway thanks to his close quarters gameplay style. That one has bothered me for a while, but I suppose I can understand why it wasn't implemented. Slide kick down tilts didn't start becoming a thing until Smash 4, a title that Kirby clearly predates, being one of the original veterans and all, so I can understand why he didn't start with it. But why he wasn't given the move come Smash 4 or even Ultimate? I don't know. Maybe it goes back to the simple design philosophy that Kirby needs. Slide kicks are too complicated for kids or something? That doesn't really make sense considering that it is the core ability for Kirby in his main titles, so kids should be able to use it just fine. I don't know, that's just my thoughts on the matter is all. Oh, and I wish that they changed Kirby's aerial side special back to how it was in Melee, making it closer to how the air hammer actually works and giving Kirby a better get off me option. But anyways, let's go ahead and finish things off with character number 7, the space traveling, bounty hunting, intergalactic canine, Fox McCloud. And I think he's perfect as is. I can think of literally no changes for Fox that I'd actually like. There's a reason why so many competitive players gravitate towards him in every title. But that aside, thematically, Fox really is perfect. He's fast-paced, has maneuverability, and believe it or not, despite all of his attacks being completely original to Smash, they all greatly emulate how it is to play Star Fox. Notice that he has a lot of spinny, rolly, basic attacks. And of course there's his blaster, which represents shooting at enemies just like you do in R-Wings. But it doesn't end there. Use the boost to chase, all range mode, and, once again, barrel rolls. Yes, Fox's reflector is actually reminiscent of barrel rolling also being able to deflect enemy projectiles in the Star Fox games. It all comes together so neatly, hence why there's nothing on Fox that I would change. I love him as is. So with that said, that does it for What If Yoshi, Kirby, and Fox were nitpicked. Or kinda nitpicked, I should really say. This was kind of a lighter episode due to me not having many things that I'd want to change or add to these three, but hey, not every character really needs it as much as others. That's just how it be. In which case, if you guys have any ideas for Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, or even some more for the prior four, I'd love to hear them. And if you share anything that I find myself really liking, I'll be more than happy to give your idea a shout out in my next episode. So, if you enjoyed what you saw and would like to see even more of my work, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to support the show and help me be able to make more content for you guys, you can click the join button either below the video or on my main page to become a sponsor for my channel. Doing so will get you access to my private Discord, as well as channel emotes. You can guarantee that your name appears in my videos, or even get the option of knowing what if character moveset is coming up next a week in advance. I really appreciate anything that can be contributed. So, I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching!